Hello, everyone. Oh wait, that's the wrong time. Excuse me, I did that on a... I automatically did that. I'm gonna be live until 2.5 hours. Okay, done. All right. So today, I'm doing more stenography again. My schedule will be going back to normal this week. I posted the schedule on my card and Blue Sky and TikTok. Today it is steno practice. Then tomorrow is schedule. Okay, today is the clear and creative raid train, steno practice. Then tomorrow is Rido Remastered. Tuesday is Deltarune. Wednesday is Metaphor Refantasio. Thursday is stenography practice again. It'll be for 2 hours. Friday is Deltarune, and then Saturday is Silk Song. So I played Deltarune twice this week. I'll probably be done with it by next week, since it's just chapter 5. Okay, so I'll be doing the 140 and 120 word practice. Forgot to go live on YouTube. Okay, I lowered the volume again for the music. Hopefully it's not too loud. It seems like it's just loud enough to be heard, but not to overtake the instructors' voices. So yesterday I had to restart the 120 words per minute playlist because I I finished it yesterday. Hello, Patrick. Welcome back to the stream. How are you doing today? I was just talking about my schedule for this week. I unfortunately finished the 120 words per minute playlist, so I had to restart it yesterday. I finished the first class. Now I'm on class 2. You're doing great, honestly. That's awesome. I go schedule making. Good. So I did post my schedule on my card and Blue Sky and TikTok. As when I was saying earlier, I went through the schedule a few minutes ago, but I'll go through it again. Today is the Queer and Creative Raid Train, which is stenography practice. Tomorrow is Monday, Rito Remastered. Tuesday, I'll be playing Deltarune Chapter 5. Wednesday is Metaphor Refantasio. Thursday is more steno practice. Friday is Deltarune again. And then Saturday is Silksong. Yesterday I was really confused because I said that I was going to do it on Fridays and Wednesdays, but I was planning on just replacing one stream each of Rito and Silksong with Deltarune, but I got the dates wrong, which confused the hell out of me. I said it was going to be Fridays and Wednesdays, but it turns out it's going to be Fridays and Tuesdays. I'll be deltoing my runes twice this week. That is very true. Exactly what I'm gonna be doing. I'm gonna have a lot of fun, I think. I enjoyed chapters 1 through 4, so chapter 5 is hype. I'm excited. This is class 30. I don't know why it's scrolled all the way down to 33. You haven't played it yet? Sorry, I don't know, I don't speak whatever language that is on YouTube. You've never played Deltarune before? I really recommend it. I highly recommend it, in fact. It's really fun. It's also really funny, and the characters are lovable. And it's got some difficulty to it. There are some secret bosses that you can unlock, and they're pretty difficult. I believe it took me, for the chapter 3 secret boss, I believe it took me a while to finish it. I'll be alright watching it though. I do have all the Deltarune videos on my channel on YouTube. Chapters 1 through 4. I also did, there's a second route to the Deltarune series. And I also did the second route on stream. It's fascinating. You'll have to watch those later. Very fun. I do all the voices. I especially like the voices I did for chapter 2. I have one of the a clip that I took from chapter 2 pinned as a video on my TikTok because I'm very happy with it. else do I have to say? Hopefully by next year. Will it be next year? Hopefully in a few months. Really, in a few months I'll be at 120, and I'll be able to, or 140. I would like to be at 140 already, but I'm still struggling with 120. It's unfortunate. I should probably start the drill. Okay, there are some that I got wrong. First is, let's see. Impersonate. Impersonate. Okay, that's a really weird way to write it. Next is Ostensible. Is that how you spell it? How do you write ostensible? Thank you for the yeehaw. It is with an O. I thought it was an AU. So I spelled it correctly? Yes, I did. Alright. Testamentary? I don't know what testamentary is. I'll have to look that one up too. Testamentary. Testamentary. Person of requisite age, essence of marriage, professional attitude, intoxicating liquor, dead on arrival, lack of authorization. Oh, okay. Authorization is this. PHRAOEU. Or it can be authorized. Distinguished. No, I'm just streaming for 2.5 today. Distinguished junior senator. Mentor. Okay.
Now for some words
All right. It was a long stream yesterday, but it was also a fun stream. I agree. I always have fun streaming. Glad it was fun for you. Yeah, this is part of a raid train too. It's from the a group called Raid Train Central. I'm gonna chill on the raid trains after this month. I'll probably only do one like once a month. Next year, I'll probably do a lot of raid trains again. You can barely hear her? Huh. Is it the music? Is it too loud? Let me lower it again. Yeah, I wasn't a lot. Maybe I put it up to 2. That's gonna be really loud. That's so strange because the video is pretty loud. I'll put it at 3 then. Let me see if I can pinpoint the... I think I'll turn off the music because the video is so, for some reason, it's really low. No matter what I do to change the volume, it doesn't seem to stick.
Old wood to burn.
Now it's loud. You can hear it, right?
Old wine. And old authors to read.
Alright, no music for today. Since it wants to act up.
Comments just traded with 24 viewers.
Hello everyone! Welcome to my slot in the raid train. How's everyone doing today? Hope you all are doing well. Thank you for raiding in. Call me Ames. Hello Lithari Faye, Lost Armiger, their Grace. How are y'all doing today? So for my part of the raid train, I'm doing stenography practice. I'm Melody Wisp. I'm an accessibility provider, voice actor, and variety streamer. I typically play RPGs and visual novels, but on Thursdays and special events like this, I like to do stenography practice. So that's what we'll be doing today. I'm getting through the drill. I had a technical issue just a couple minutes ago where the audio wasn't very loud for the video, so I had to turn off the music I have in the background because for some reason it was lowering the volume for the video and my microphone. So no music today, sadly. Does anyone here know anything about stenography?
Ticket off Patrick just redeemed yeehaw.
Thank you for redeeming yeehaw. I thought he did, but I think I'm thinking of something else. Stenography is when you use a method of shorthand to take down dictation. It can be either pen shorthand, machine/keyboard shorthand, or voice shorthand. Voice, you would use a microphone. For me, I have a machine plugged into my computer that I use to write in stenography. It's very fun. I'm currently at 100 to 120 words per minute. Hoping that by this time next year, I'll be at like 180 or something. The form of stenography that I use, the theory I use, is called Phoenix. It's more phonetics based. So you just write how the words sound to you instead of mostly how they are spelled. It makes it a lot easier. I'm currently in the middle of the drill for this this stenography school put all their videos on YouTube, and that's what I use to study most of the time. I practice the dictation videos that they have online. Platinum Steno is what it's called. They no longer teach any classes though, but their videos are online on YouTube for anyone to practice to if they want to. I'm currently in the middle of the 140 words per minute drill for class 30. My hope is that by streaming at least once a day, at least once a week stenography, I can force myself to get faster. And it also helps to make stenography look a little less intimidating to people. So hopefully more people will pick it up as a little hobby or something. The software that I use is called Plover. It's free and open source stenography software. I hope to become a live captioner, which is why I'm practicing. Yay, stenography! Okay, I'm gonna continue on with the drill, and then we'll move on to the jury charge and literary.
Daddy smoking his pipe in the family room. Ice capades. Spending a night at a farmhouse. Steam rising from a cluster of casseroles. A snowman on the football field. The difference between New England and Manhattan clam chowder. The hazy Chicago skyline growing out of the horizon. Bacon curls. The lacy pattern of twigs against the sky. And that.
Okay, that's the end of that. How chowder was not. I guess it's not in the dictionary. Chowder. It's just chowed. In which you had. Did I add chowder to my dictionary?
Welcome to literary and jury charge practice. Let's get started with some jury charge. Ready? The instant suit was brought in the district court by the union, which prayed that the board's order of decompliance be enjoined. International Scientific Company intervened. The district court denied a preliminary injunction. The Court of Appeals held that a false affidavit filed under Section 9H of the Act gave rise only to a criminal penalty against the guilty union officer and did not in any way alter the union's right to the benefit.
You only know how to spell it thanks to the cartoon show Chowder. I sometimes get the theme song stuck in my head. You take the moon and you take, is it sun or sky? You take everything that seems like fun. I don't know most of the lyrics. I just know a few, but I get the song stuck in my head no matter what anyway.
Of the act, even where its members were aware of the officer's fraud. We agree with the court below that the board has no.
It's sun? Okay. Stenography is so cool. I agree. Hopefully I get faster in a few months. Rada, rada, rada. So true.
No authority, even where its members were aware of the officer's fraud. We agree with the court below that the board has no authority to deprive unions of their compliance status under Section 9H, and that the only remedy for the filing of a false affidavit is the criminal penalty provided in Section 35A of the Criminal Code. We start with a statutory provision that contains only one express sanction, namely prosecution for making a false statement. No other sections of the Act expressly supplement that one sanction. The aim of Section 9H is clear. It imposes a criminal penalty for filing a false affidavit so as to deter communist officers from filing at all. The failure to file stands as a barrier to the making of an investigation by the board and the issuance of any complaint for the benefit of the union in question. The section therefore provides an incentive to the members of the union to rid themselves of communist leadership and elect officers who can file affidavits in order to receive the benefits of the act. The filing of the required affidavits by the necessary officers is the key that makes available to the union the benefits of the act. The board is under a duty to determine whether a filing has been made by each person specified in Section 9H, since its power to act on union charges is conditioned on filing of the necessary affidavits. The argument made by the board would have us read into the act an implied power to determine not only whether the affidavit has been filed, but also whether the affidavit filed is true or false.
This is from the 1950s, which is why they're talking about communism like it's evil.
Now for some literary practice.
Literary practice.
And this is, the title of this literary is called Court Reporters, Entrepreneurs, and More.
Entrepreneur. How do you write that? I don't like that. Entrepreneur. I like that one better. Are you using both hands or just one? Both hands. I have my hands are in the middle of the keys. So my left hand is between these keys, and my right hand is between. Entrepreneur. That's fine.
Court Reporters, Entrepreneurs, and More. Ready? For two Connecticut court reporters, being excellent in their field is just not enough. Both have jumped into second businesses to showcase their creative sides, and not surprisingly, their efforts are aimed squarely at what Americans crave: ice cream and chocolate. Alyssa Ferrero of Wethersfield has lived through terrible loss and amazing love and finds a silver lining in every occurrence. She lost her son CJ in 2003 when he perished in a car accident at the age of 17. 2 years ago, she informally fostered her friend's newborn girl, who has recently gone to live with blood relatives. Ferrero owns A+ Reporting Services and...
That's cool. It popped into my head and I was just curious. Good to be curious.
Takes everything from car accidents, dog bites, and divorce to medical malpractice jobs. I would say MedMal is my favorite because it's challenging and extremely interesting. I was a former medical transcriptionist, so it's right up my alley, says Ferrero. Maria Boyle Hughes of Norwalk could be one of the most focused people on the planet. Full disclosure, she's my boss. She'd planned to go to law school after graduating from the University of Connecticut. But then I started working at the local courthouse and met the court reporters there and decided to change my career path, she says. She owns Campano and Associates Court Reporting Services with a stable of 20 freelancers and takes 4 jobs herself nearly every week. Her business has been voted the best court reporting and deposition services 7 years in a row by the Connecticut Law Tribune. Hughes always craved an opportunity to show
Connecticut. Oh my god. Connected. There. KOPB.
the right-brained side of her personality. After taking weekend classes in New Jersey with other chocolatiers and waiting for her kids to be in college, she was ready to launch. I've always had a sweet tooth, she says. So I started Diamond Chocolatiers, which is an online chocolate company. We make delicious, decadent, and delectable chocolate. During the week, her life is nonstop court reporting, managing the business, billing the clients, and editing transcripts. But on the weekends, it's all about the chocolate that she produces from a rented, licensed kitchen 10 minutes from home. There's always that delicious aroma when we're cooking, she says. What's not to like? Ferrero calls herself a huge risk taker. Life is too short not to really have fun and live to the fullest, she says, admitting that it's probably fallout from when my son died. But she adds, I love ice cream, and it is a far distance from court reporting when you consider all the bad things we hear day to day. She opened Coneheads in Colchester last June and says the business is holding its own.
I'm gonna need more water soon.
Now for some more jury charge practice. The subject of this jury charge is evaluating evidence. Ready? Gentlemen of the jury, upon retiring to the jury room, you will select one of your number to act as foreman. Neither by these instructions nor by any words uttered or remark made by the court during this trial does or did the court intimate or mean to give or wish to be understood as giving an opinion as to what the proof is or what it is not, or what the facts are in this case, or what are not the facts therein. It is solely and exclusively for the jury to find and determine the facts, and this they must do from the evidence, and having done so, then apply to them the law stated in these instructions. The instructions given to the jury are and constitute one body and series, and should be so regarded and treated by the jury. That is to say, they should apply to them the facts as a whole, and not detach or separate any one instruction from any or either of the others. Preliminary to your being accepted and sworn to act as jurors in this case, you were examined by both plaintiff and defendant as to your competency and qualifications to act as jurors. As a part of this examination, each of you answered all questions asked by both plaintiff and defendant. Your answers showed that you were competent and qualified to act as jurors, and the parties to this suit accepted you as jurors on the faith of the truth of your answers. The answers you then made to such questions in regard to your competency, qualifications, fairness, lack of prejudice, and freedom from passion and sympathy are as binding on you now as they were then, and so remain until you are finally discharged from further consideration of the case. It would be improper and unlawful for any of you to disregard those answers that rendered you competent jurors. The jury are instructed that all reference to evidence in these instructions means only such evidence as the court has admitted in this case. Evidence offered but which was excluded by the court is not entitled to and must not receive any consideration from the jury in determining the case. Neither must the jury give any consideration to, nor be influenced by, any evidence which they may have heard, but which was afterwards stricken out by the order of the court. Evidence which was stricken out by the court must be totally ignored and treated as if it had not been heard. Back to some literary. Ready?
Thank you for the follow.
I love to be busy and I work best under pressure, Ferrero says. I even bring my laptop and work at the ice cream shop during the slow times. Ferrero had run a coffee shop in Middletown in 2012, but when it floundered after a year, she says, we were lucky to find a buyer and ran for our lives, vowing never to go into the restaurant business again. She decided ice cream was lower overhead and she could handle it, but she had another reason. I just had to do something, so I had a social life, she admits. That's my favorite part. Our friends and family stop in to visit and have ice cream. I have a couple of close friends who come to help if I'm there alone. And I have to add, it's amazing the number of friends who ask if they can come and scoop with us. Both Hughes and Ferrero rely on family to help them run these businesses and pretty much use their weekend time for this work. Ferrero's significant other runs Coneheads full-time, Monday through Sunday. Although Hughes also hires per diem help, her younger son Dylan, who commutes to college, plays a big part in Diamond Chocolatiers by making the products, overseeing the kitchen, and shipping the orders. He researched the equipment they would need in the beginning and even drove his truck to New York to pick up an important piece. Ferrero says, when we opened in June, I was there every single minute. I could be there, running there after work, before work, whenever I had a second. I am so blessed that my son, Luke, worked there for part of the summer free of charge, and my significant other's daughter, Rachel, who is a graduate psychiatric nursing student at Johns Hopkins, did the same. They actually put together the POS, point of sale system, with an iPad, since we had no idea what to do with that. In addition, Ferrero's unique family situation meant she had to hire help for several months. She credits colleague Danny with last-minute coverage of her clients. and both women have made sure that giving back is a part of their work. Hughes has created chocolate for heroes. She and her son Michael traveled before Thanksgiving to the VA Medical Center in West Haven and personally gave chocolate to cancer outpatients and their families. I needed to get the business up and running before I could do this, she explains. Hopefully, we can someday expand to other veteran groups. This is just a small way of saying thank you for their sacrifices for our freedom. Through Coneheads, Ferrero has done fundraising for the schools in town and even sponsored an ice cream social for the local over 55 community condominium association. I now know we all have a purpose, and I am so happy to know we all that through both love and loss, pain and sorrow, I can still stand. It is all because I know there's something to hope for right around the corner, says Ferrero. Life twists and turns, and we don't get it a second chance. I want to grab the good, the bad, and the ugly and shake it all up. And is there anything more good than ice cream for Ferrero and chocolate for Hughes? They don't think so, and neither do their customers.
Interesting little story.
All right, let's get back to our jury charge. Ready? The instructions given to the jury by the court must be accepted by them as the law governing this case. The jury will not be justified in finding a verdict contrary to the law as laid down in the instructions given by the court in this case. The jury are instructed that in this case, the plaintiff is suing for commission as a broker on the sale of a certain piece of real estate formerly held by the defendant as trustee, and the burden of proving by a preponderance of all the evidence that the defendant was and is indebted to the plaintiff as claimed by him is upon plaintiff. In order to recover, the plaintiff must prove by a preponderance of the evidence that the plaintiff was the procuring cause of the sale made by defendant to Hart and Newton. So if the plaintiff has failed so to prove by a preponderance of the evidence, or if you believe the evidence upon that issue preponderates in favor of the defendant, or you are unable to say on which side is the preponderance of the evidence, your verdict should be for the defendant. The jury are instructed that while, as a matter of law, the burden of proof is upon the plaintiff, and it is for him to prove his case by a preponderance of the evidence, still, if the jury finds that the evidence bearing upon the plaintiff's case preponderates in his favor, although but slightly, it will be sufficient for the jury to find the issues in his favor. The preponderance of evidence in a case is not alone determined by the number of witnesses testifying to a particular fact or state of facts. In determining on which side the preponderance of evidence is, the jury may take into consideration the number of witnesses testifying to a particular fact or state of facts, and they may also take into consideration, so far as shown by the evidence, the opportunities of the several witnesses for seeing or knowing the things about which they testify. And that will conclude our literary and jury charge practice.
All right, we're moving on to the Q&A now.
Welcome to Q&A practice. Let's get started with the defense attorney. Ready? You have no doubt, however, do you, sir, that Mr. Lamb was involved in the various meetings you have described? No, I have no doubt. I may be somewhat fuzzy on some of the details, but in substance I certainly recall. Did you ever have a conversation with Mr. Lamb in which you discussed the amount of cocaine which would be imported in the next trip? We discussed in detail the amounts, the purchasing, and the financing in the subsequent meetings that I mentioned just a moment ago. And what were Mr. Lamb's and Mr. Ramirez's roles to be in this second trip? To the best of my recollection, Mr. Lamb was swapping ends on that trip and staying in the States. Mr. Ramirez was going south into South America. They handled their own financing jointly between themselves. I'm not aware of what their personal arrangements were. Was any special device required to perform this next trip? Yes. And would you describe what that was? We determined that to smuggle twice the amount, approximately 8 kilos, we needed a machine that had that cubic inch capacity, and also we felt that our other machine was now, in view of what we learned on past trips, in need of sophistication. I discussed it with Mr. Murchison at length. Did you have any meetings with people other than Mr. Lamb and Mr. Ramirez to plan the second trip? Yes, sir, I did. And with whom did you meet? With our team. Did you participate in a meeting in Maui in July? Yes, sir, I did. And would you describe in substance what was said in that meeting? In substance, all the pertinent details surrounding the trip that was going to ensue were discussed. What are some of the pertinent details which were discussed? Financing, routing, outfitting, logistics, travel arrangements, and we agreed on the plan of action to smuggle the cocaine.
Okay, what's next?
All right, now let's get back to our transcript and some voice practice. And we will start with we will start with defense attorney. Ready? But none of the transaction on that date with regard to any drugs or activity took place while he was behind the bar, did it? No. Excuse me just a minute. In the report on 7/13/05, again, if you have to refer to your report, you can. It is page 6, and I'm talking about the last paragraph, and you testified that Cassie on that date was looking in your direction. You really don't know what she was looking at that particular time, do you? I think I do. You think you know what she was looking at? Yes. And how is it you know that? Because her eyes went down from eye level to about where Ron's hands were. Okay, granted, it could have been anything, but from my view, that's exactly where she was looking. And one other point of clarification, and this is kind of small, but you testified, and I just think, and I understand why, but I think you got two dates mixed up. Did you get the incidents of 1021 and 1006 of 06 sort of? Did they kind of blend together in your original testimony? You corrected your and strike that, and let me ask you another question. You testified earlier about certain things that happened on 10/8, and then when you got into 1021 voluntarily, you stated you had made a mistake and that there was no pill activity on 10/8. It had happened on 10/21. Do you recall that? Yes, I do. And that's true, correct? Yes. And then, would that be the same thing with regard to the activity with Ron on 10/8, that's actually what happened on 10/21? I don't recall that distinction. All right, let me ask you this, and again, please feel free to refer. I'm not trying to confuse or befuddle you. I'm just trying to be sure we have it straight. It is my understanding that on 10/8, whatever transaction or dealings or happenings occurred between Sarah and Ron, your view was fairly blocked. Yes. So you really didn't see what happened at that point. All you know is that somewhere along the line, Sarah handed you a plastic bag. That's correct. With that, I don't really have any other questions, and thank you very much. 1 second. Just for the record, when they're referring to Sarah, she's also known as Cindy Reed. Is that correct? Yes. My apologies to the court. That's okay. You had asked us to do that earlier, and I forgot. I'm sorry. That's okay. Any redirect, Mr. Van? Just a few questions. Mr. James, you mentioned that on September 25th is the time when you saw Mr. Vance come in. Is that right? Yes. All right. Was that the only time you saw him there on any of your visits? Or as you think back, was he there other occasions? I believe that's the only time I saw him in there. All right. And when you did see him on this occasion, since that's the only time that we have, did he ever go out and, I don't know, walk in and around the public area of the premises as opposed to his office or behind the bar counter? No, it appeared to be strictly business dealings. Okay, so you think he went into his what may have been an office behind the bar counter, and where else? Those are the only two places I recall him going. All right. Now, you mentioned with respect to Ron Sanchez, you told Mr. Ramos that you can correct me if I'm wrong, but it was kind of your overall perception that he was maybe a patron, but he kind of did, I don't know, like chores or favors for them, for premises employees. Is that right? Or you can correct me. I'm not sure if there was any arrangement between the bartenders and Ron for any monetary things. He just appeared to be helping the bartenders with various duties. But for example, what things did you see Ron do? I saw him police empty beer bottles. I saw him take a crate of beer bottles to the back. I saw him get ice for a bartender on an occasion, and I've seen him mop the floor. okay, but like when he wasn't doing those things, and other than you're dealing with him, what kind of, would he just be standing around, or what would he be doing? Pretty much just loitering, hanging out. I don't even recall.
Okay, I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back.
Just be standing around, or what would he be doing? Pretty much just loitering, hanging out. I don't even recall really ever seeing him drink alcohol. He would come and go, meet patrons in the bathroom for brief times, basically deal drugs. All right, so the bar counter had no stools, but had tall chairs, is that? Yes, and no stools, but tall chairs, you think? Yes, all right. Not the classic round bar stool kind of deal? No. All right, nothing further. Any recross? No. All right, thank you very much. You may step down. Any other witnesses, Mr. Van? I don't think so, Your Honor. All right, department rests? I think yes. Okay, we're ready for your first witness then, Mr. Ramos. Thank you. We're going to call Cassie Reeves, and Mr. Ramos will get her if that's okay. Okay. We might have a problem. I guess I'll have to go downstairs and get her. Well, that's okay. Why don't we start with Mr. Vance while you're doing that? Okay, why don't you go get the other witness? And Mr. Ramos says, we'll start with Mr. Vance. Mr. Vance, please step forward. Please raise your right hand so I can swear you in. All right, please be seated. State your full name for the record and then spell it for us. Ivan, I-V-A-N, Vance, V-A-N-C-E. All right, thank you. Go ahead, Mr. Randall. Thank you, Your Honor. Sir, you're the owner and the ABC licensee of the business known as Horseshoe? Yes, sir. And the department's accusation indicates that you've been licensed there since May 7th of 1970. Yes, sir.
Okay, that's it for the Q&A. Time for the practice test. And then we'll have time for one 120 words per minute class.
This will be a 140 Q&A practice test. Plaintiff attorney Mr. Scott, capital S-C-O-T-T. Defense attorney Ms. M.S. period Diaz, capital D-I-A-Z. And we'll start with the plaintiff. Ready? And with your hands, when did you first notice any symptoms? When I had 3 months working there with him, that's the first thing I noticed. My fingernails were destroyed. Did you see any doctor for that? No, but I was just about ready to see him because I had a lot of pain. Did you ask for special kind of gloves from your employer? Sometimes we grab the one that they have at the restaurants, but still it didn't work. Now, right before you started working for Ron Sanchez, did you have any back pain or knee pain? No. And did you have any problem with your hands? No. Did you ever tell Ron to find a different kind of chemicals or solutions? Yes, but he told me he had his own brand of degreaser that he wanted to use. At that time, did you discuss the condition of your hands when you discussed this chemical? I told him that, but he told me, oh, that's normal, that's going to happen. Did you show your hands to him? Yes, he told me that, oh, your hands look like boards, like really bad. Did you ever go to the office of Wilson Cleaning, or did you always go to the job site directly to the job sites? He would only give me the supply. And the doctor you saw in West Anaheim after your accident, was it only a chiropractor? Yes. So only one doctor you saw after that accident? Yes. And how long did you treat? 3 months. Did you fully recover from the injuries from the accident? Yes. What was the name of the chiropractor you saw? The name I don't remember. Which city? West Anaheim. I think that's what I was trying to clarify. Did you see any other doctor other than the chiropractor for that accident? For this accident? For that accident, the car accident? No. So right from the scene of the accident, did you go to some doctor? No, only to the chiropractor. Do you recall the visit with Dr. Mark Rowe, the doctor that State Fund sent you to in September? That if I saw him? Do you recall that visit? Do you recall Dr. Rowe? Yes, I saw him once. Was it in the city of Banning? Yes, in the city of Banning. How long was that visit? less than 5 minutes. Then he made another appointment to get some pictures of my bones. They put me in the machine, whatever, and that thing take pictures of my knees and my back. Did you go to that? Yes. Was it MRI? Yes. And did you see Dr. Anderson? Before that, yes. And where was he located? Right there in Tustin. And did he do any testing or treatment? He only asked questions and touched my knee with something, and that's it. You're talking about Dr. Anderson? Yes. When did you see Dr. Anderson? September, I don't remember the date, of 2014. Was he also on 4th Avenue? Yes. I think Dr. Rowe is on 4th Avenue.
Ticked off Patrick just redeemed posture check.
Thank you for posture check.
Yes. Are you talking about Rowe or no, Tustin? Right. Dr. Rowe said that he saw you on June 29th on 4th Avenue in city of Tustin. Exactly. So you're talking about that doctor who examined your knee? Yes. The one that you... Did you see Dr. Anderson in Los Angeles on Vine Street? No. I went to 2 appointments, but when I arrived, I was told that both of them had been canceled and they were going to reschedule for another day, supposedly. But eventually, you saw Anderson once? No. So you saw only Dr. Rowe? Yes. You never saw Dr. Anderson? Never. And after the MRI, did you see Dr. Rowe again? No. Did he ever? Nobody discussed the MRI with you? Nothing. Counselor, do you have the medical reports for Dr. Anderson? What? The medical reports for Dr. Anderson. Earlier, you testified that you did not tell Ron Sanchez that you wanted to continue to work for him, but before he terminated you, when he was discussing this option of 2 jobs, at that time, did you tell him that your preference was to continue with both jobs? Yes. So after termination, you didn't tell him that you wanted to continue to work for him, correct? No. Is that correct? Correct. So basically, you discussed with Ron this option that he gave you that you had to pick 1 job, correct? Yes. And you picked the restaurant job? Yes. So your termination was like mutual understanding, correct? Yes. I have nothing further. Did Mr. Sanchez tell you that if you chose the other job, that you could not continue working for him? Yes. So in a way, he was giving you an ultimatum that if you chose the other job or continued to work at the other job, that you couldn't work for him?
All right. We're moving on to the 120. Let me just click over to 31.
Hello, welcome to the drill portion of the 120 class. We're going to start out with a basic word drill, and even though these words are basic, I want you to focus on your accuracy. Okay, this is about accuracy and not so much about speed. Okay, ready? We're going to start out with the words. That, vet, quit, quell, quip, zip, zap, court, quill, squirt, squid, squat, belt, felt, raft, wept, slept, dirt, part, port, strut, strip, stilt, thrill, throb, shrill, sprig, squad, twig, plot, plus, skit, skid, verb. Now here are some phrases that follow the same pattern with a lot of the words are initial V, along with initial V final T and final RT words as well. Ready? Zip it up. Stop the vet. Zig or zag. Pop the quiz. Have the quiz. A full quart. Many quarts. Fill the vat. Lug the vat. Tip the vet. The vet quipped. Quit it. Short quiz. Short verse. Okay, now here are your sentences. The quilt is red. Dad is quitting. Is the quiz hard? The pigs are fat. The vets have left. The car zigzagged. The vet fed the mutt. I will quit if it hurts. Are the verses short? Will her dad sell the car? Have the cats purred? Sis zipped up her skirt. The cell will be mopped. Have the squad cars left? The cells are full of thugs. Is the vet with the dogs? Okay, I have a license plate drill for you. This also includes descriptions of automobiles along with the license plate number. Okay. And you can also phrase license number. I do I write that as L-I-N, Lynn. And then if of course the proper name Lynn comes up, I flag it because it's a proper name that's one syllable. Okay, but just if you hear license number, that's what I use for that phrase. Okay, here we go. Ready? 2001 GMC Sierra Black, license number IF13761. 2009 red GMC Yukon Denali, license number TF23717. 2000 silver Pontiac Sunfire, license number IMTC 431. 2004 blue Pontiac Grand Am, license number 2TMC 401. 1997 Hunter Green GMC Yukon, license number 7F4 3510. 1999 white Jeep Wrangler, license number 4BT U473. 2008 gray Toyota 4Runner, license number LF13749. I have some Latin and French words for you. Okay, I'm going to give you the word and then the sentences. We've got carte blanche, quantum meruit, ultra vires, and in Latin and French words for you. Okay, I'm going to give you the word and then the sentences. We've got carte blanche, quantum meruit, ultra vires, and intra vires.
All right, there. What again?
We've got carte blanche, quantum meruit, ultra vires, and intra vires. Okay, I'm going to read you your sentences. Carte blanche means unlimited authority. Generally, carte blanche gives another person the power to fill in a blank instrument as he chooses. Quantum meruit literally translates to mean as much as one deserves. Using the theory of quantum meruit, one may recover a reasonable value for any work or service performed. An act or contract which is not within the powers of a corporation is an ultra vires act. Ultra vires acts are generally outside the scope of authority conferred by law. The opposite of ultra vires is intra vires. A matter that is intra vires is considered within legal powers, control, or authority of an individual or an institution. I have some medical words and definitions. Ready? Carotids, the principal arteries of the neck. Cerebral, of or pertaining to the brain. Cerebrospinal fluid, fluid of the brain and spinal cord. Cervical vertebra, the upper 7 bones of the spinal column. Coagulate, to clot. Coccyx, the last bone of the spinal column. Cole's fracture, otherwise known as Colles. I've heard it both ways. Okay, so Coles and Colles fracture. Transverse fracture of the lower extremity of the radius with displacement of the hand backward and outward. Coronary, encircling as a vessel or nerve. Cortex, the external gray layer of the brain. Crepitus, crackling sound produced by rubbing together fragments of fractured bone. Cyanotic, pertaining to the blue discoloration of skin from non-oxidation of blood. Debride, to cut away lacerated or contaminated tissue. Decalcified, freed from lime salts. Diastolic, pertaining to the period of dilation of the heart. Diathermy, heating local tissue by the aid of the high frequency current. Dilated, a vessel or organ which has expanded. Disseminated means scattered. Distal, away from the center of the body. Ecchymosis, discoloration due to an effusion of blood into surrounding tissues after a rupture of the vessels. Embolus, any foreign or abnormal particle circulating in the blood as a bubble of air or a blood clot. Epiphysis, a part or process of a bone which ossifies separately and subsequently becomes a part of the larger bone. Epiphyseal, pertaining to an epiphysis. Epithelium, the covering of the skin and mucous membranes, consisting wholly of cells of varying forms and arrangements. Okay, that concludes.
Okay, done with the drill. I remember doing that before, but I didn't remember how to write most of the.
Hello, welcome to the literary and jury charge portion of the 120 class. We're going to start out with an article, some literary on the human heart. I'm going to read this once at 100 and again at 120. So we'll start off at 100. Ready? Here we go. The human heart is the most important organ in the body. It is a muscular organ, averaging 10 ounces in weight. The heart has two sides. The right side pumps the blood through an artery to the lungs, where it deposits waste such as carbon dioxide and picks up oxygen. It then travels to the left side of the heart, where it is pumped out to the arteries, giving fuel to the body. On the return trip to the heart, the blood travels through the veins back to the right side of the heart, where it begins its process again. A young child's heart will beat at almost twice the rate of an adult's. Physical activity will cause the heart to beat more rapidly, whereas sleep will produce a slower heartbeat. Okay, so I will read that again, and I will pick it up this time to 120. Ready? The human heart is the most important organ in the body. It is a muscular organ, averaging 10 ounces in weight. The heart has two sides. The right side pumps the blood through an artery to the lungs, where it deposits waste such as carbon dioxide and picks up oxygen. It then travels to the left side of the heart, where it is pumped out to the arteries, giving fuel to the body. On the return trip to the heart, the blood travels through the veins back to the right side of the heart, where it begins its process again. A young child's heart will beat at almost twice the rate of an adult's. Physical activity will cause the heart to beat more rapidly, whereas sleep will produce a slower heartbeat. Okay. I have some jury charge for you. Ready? A basic issue to be determined by you in this case is whether the plaintiff, Sergeant Harris, was a guest of the defendant, Sergeant Wilson, at the time of the accident in question. This is a basic issue because the liability of the defendant differs depending on whether the plaintiff rider was a guest or a passenger of the driver of the vehicle involved in this accident. Although a person may be both a guest and a passenger, according to the law, the two words differ in meaning. A guest is one who is invited to enjoy the hospitality of the driver of a vehicle, accepts the ride for his own pleasure without conferring any benefit or compensation upon the driver, where, however, the driver receives compensation. This need not be money for the rider's transportation, and this compensation is understood by both to be given and received for said ride. The rider is a passenger, not a guest. So I read that at 100. I'm going to read that again at 120. Ready? A basic issue to be determined by you in this case is whether the plaintiff, Sergeant Harris, was a guest of the defendant, Sergeant Wilson, at the time of the accident in question. This is a basic issue because the liability of the defendant differs depending on whether the plaintiff rider was a guest or a passenger of the driver of the vehicle involved in this accident. Although a person may be both a guest and a passenger, according to the law, the two words differ in meaning. A guest is one who is invited to enjoy the hospitality of the driver of a vehicle, accepts the ride for his own pleasure without conferring any benefit or compensation upon the driver, where, however, the driver receives compensation. This need not be money for the rider's transportation, and this compensation is understood by both to be given and received for said ride. The rider is a passenger, not a guest. Okay, I have an article here, and this is called Identity Theft, a New Kind of Larceny. Ready? In 2005, Choice Point, a personal information clearinghouse with huge stores of private data on millions of Americans, announced that it had been the victim of a fraud perpetrated by thieves posing as legitimate business customers. The firm quickly notified more than 145,000 people nationwide that critical personal information, including credit scores, social security numbers, street addresses, and more, had been stolen in what looked like a massive identity theft scheme. Later that year, more than 100,000 Bank of America customers were notified that their financial records might have been stolen. MasterCard reported that 40 million credit card accounts had been compromised by a security breach at a payment processing center. Identity theft, which involves obtaining credit, merchandise, or services by fraudulent personal representation, is a special kind of larceny. According to a recent Federal Trade Commission survey, identity theft directly impacts as many as 10 million victims annually, although most do not report the crime. Identity theft became a federal crime in 1998 with the passage of the Identity Theft and Assumption Deterrence Act. The law makes it a crime whenever anyone knowingly transfers or uses without lawful authority a means of identification of another person with the intent to commit or to aid or abet any unlawful activity that constitutes a violation of federal law or that constitutes a felony under any applicable state or local law. The 2014 Identity Theft Penalty Enforcement Act added 2 years to federal prison sentences for criminals convicted of using stolen credit card numbers and other personal data to commit crimes. It also prescribed prison sentences for those who use identity theft to commit other crimes, including terrorism, and it increased penalties for defendants who exceed or abuse the authority of their position in unlawfully obtaining or misusing means of personal identification. Anyone can fall prey to identity theft, even celebrities. In the year 2000, for example, golfer Tiger Woods learned that his identity had been stolen and that credit cards taken out in his name had been used to steal $17,000 worth of merchandise, including a 70-inch TV, stereos, and a used luxury car. In 2001, the thief, 30-year-old Anthony Lamar Taylor, who looks nothing like Woods, was convicted of falsely obtaining a driver's license using the name of Eldrick T. Woods, Tiger's given name, Woods' social security number, and his birth date. Because Taylor already had 20 previous convictions of all kinds on his record, he was sentenced to 200 years in prison under California's 3 strikes law. Like Woods, most victims of identity theft do not even know that their identities have been stolen until they receive bills for merchandise they haven't purchased. According to the National White Collar Crime Center, identity thieves use several common techniques. Some engage in dumpster diving, going through trash bags, cans, or dumpsters to get copies of checks, credit card and bank statements, credit card applications, or other records that typically bear identifying information. Others use a technique called shoulder surfing. It involves simply looking over the victim's shoulder as he or she enters personal information into a computer or on a written form. Eavesdropping is another simple yet effective technique that identify thieves often use. Eavesdropping can occur when the victim is using an ATM machine, giving credit card or other personal information over the phone, or dialing the number for their telephone calling card. Criminals can also obtain personal identifying information from potential victims through the internet. Some internet users, for example, rely to spam unsolicited email that promises them all sorts of attractive benefits while using or requesting identifying data such as checking account or credit card numbers and expiration dates, along with the victim's name and address. Identity theft perpetrated through the use of high technology depends on the fact that a person's legal and economic identity in contemporary society is largely virtual and supported by technology. Interesting, huh?
That was pretty long.
Okay, I have some literary, and this is called taxation. Okay, here we go. Saving on taxes involves the detailed task of record keeping. An essential element of complete tax planning is to establish a good record-keeping system. Your detailed records will help you to compute your income and deductions at the end of the year and to plan for the future. With receipts accumulating during the year, there is a tendency to overlook certain items. You must have a record to present to the IRS if your return is audited. The establishment of a comprehensive record-keeping system will ensure completeness and accuracy and will also eliminate many problems at tax time. After you have collected your monthly checking account statements, segregate all the tax-related receipts, keeping 1 year's receipts separate from another. If your occupation involves travel, meals, or entertainment of clients, you should keep a daily computer log or journal of these expenses. If you own your own home or have other investments, such as stocks and bonds, plan your investment strategies in order to minimize gains at tax time. If you use your home as your office, you may take deductions for business-related expenses. The retention of past tax returns is important in the event you are audited. Previous tax returns may be necessary if you plan to income average. All interest and dividend statements should be retained in case you are audited. Tax records should be kept for a minimum of 3 years. The IRS may go back as far as 3 years to question a return. Okay. Going to give you some words, and then I'm going to read a paragraph to you, and these are all on legal terms, okay? You're going to hear verbatim, voluntarily, executed, transcript, disclosure, affidavit, which you can write that as AFT or AFD. I've seen it both ways. Deposition, DEP, concealment, jurat, clause, interrogatories. So interrogatory is TROG, T-R-O-G, docket, and contempt. Okay, all right, here we go. Ready? A voluntarily written statement executed under oath before an official of the court is called an affidavit. A jurat clause appears at the end of the affidavit. Interrogatories are questions answered under oath outside the courtroom. The court reporter prepares a verbatim transcript of most proceedings. The disclosure of facts known about a case is prepared in question and answer format in a deposition. A party is guilty of concealment when the facts known about the case are withheld. This action can lead to a contempt of court charge. The trial date for a case is entered on the court docket. So I'm going to read this now at 1:20. Ready? A voluntarily written statement executed under oath before an official of the court is called an affidavit. A jurat clause appears at the end of the affidavit. Interrogatories are questions answered under oath outside the courtroom. The court reporter prepares a verbatim transcript of most proceedings. The disclosure of facts known about a case is prepared in question and answer format in a deposition. A party is guilty of concealment when the facts known about the case are withheld. This action can lead to a contempt of court charge. The trial date for a case is entered on the court docket.
Okay, we got 1 minute left in this.
I've got some literary. Actually, we only have about less than a minute. So I'm going to just read to you one last little paragraph that we had more time. All right, here we go. This is just a small phrase review, okay? Here we go. Did you ever ask Mr. Brewer how many students he has in his 9 o'clock class? He may have overlooked the fact that he has only 35 computers in the computer room. Before the final class assignments are made, verify the class count. This way, when the final rosters are printed, we can eliminate a good many of the changes.
Okay, that's it. We're moving on to the Q&A now. The Q&A is 13 minutes long.
Hello, this is the 120 Q&A practice. We're going to start off with the plaintiff questioning. Here we go. Ready? So you paid $300 or $400 in cash for them? That's right. Where did you get the $300 or $400 cash you used? I made it gambling at the casino. I was in the business, the game of chance. Sometimes I made money, sometimes I didn't. Did you deposit the money you made gambling in a checking account? Sometimes I did, yes. So did you then write yourself a check for $400 immediately prior to the swap meet for the purchase of these sound systems? I don't think I did. I think I already had that money in cash, and no, it was in my savings account. So you took it out of your savings account? I think so, yes. Where is your savings account located? The First City Bank in downtown Detroit. So that savings account will show a withdrawal of $400? I am pretty sure. Is that where you got the money that you took to the swap meet to purchase the stereos? That's correct. How many stereos did you buy at the swap meet? I told you 3 or 4. How many? 3 or 4? 3 or 4. Did you withdraw $300 or $400? It could have been $300 or $400, either 3 or 4. I am not exactly sure, so it would be either 3 or 4. How much money did you withdraw out of your savings account before you went to that swap meet? I don't know. I really don't know. Did you do it for the purpose of buying stereos at the swap meet? I think I took some out for spending because I needed some money and some of the stereos. Did you frequently visit swap meets held throughout the state of Michigan? Yes, I did. How often had you visited the Lansing State Fairgrounds swap meet? I don't remember. Several times. How often had you purchased stereos from this particular individual, Eddie Trent? I don't remember. 2 or 3 times. When you purchased these stereos, didn't you wonder how he could afford to sell these items at such a low price, at below wholesale prices? No, I just knew it was a great deal. I knew I could make some money. Did you ever think that this merchandise that you were purchasing might be stolen property? No, I just thought it was a good deal. You said you visited this swap meet several times. How many times? Oh, about 3 or 4 times. In all the time you visited the Lansing State Fairgrounds swap meet, how many stereos did you purchase from Mr. Trent? Oh, between 8 and 10, not more than a dozen. Can you give us an exact number? I think 10.
Okay.
Okay, we'll switch transcripts.
I remember that transcript.
This is going to start out with defense attorney. Here we go. Now, Mr. Tyrell, you have stated that when you first saw Diana, she appeared to be a normal, level-headed young lady. That's correct. Did you ever see Diana when she was under the influence of some kind of drug? No, I did not see. Did you ever see Diana when she appeared to be drunk or under the influence of alcohol? No. Did you ever hear that Diana had some kind of a drug problem? I had heard some rumors that she could have been a user. I probably heard it from my sister Karen. We sometimes discuss family problems, and it may have come up. We knew that something was wrong. We didn't know what indicators to look for, but we knew something was amiss. You keep referring to your sister Karen. Is that Diana's mother? Yes, that is correct. That is your sister or half-sister? My half-sister. That is Diana's mother? Yes, it is. Were you ever told that Diana was heavily into all kinds of drugs? No, never. That Diana had experimented with marijuana? No, never. That Diana had tried PCP and cocaine? No. That Diana used LSD? No, nothing. Your Honor, I have nothing further at this time. Redirect Miss Delaney. In conversations with Mrs. Bishop, the school psychiatrist, psychologist, did she ever tell you that she suspected Diana was into crack? Was she aware of anything? Your Honor, I will object to the last part of the question. The last part of the question is objectionable. All right. Did she ever tell you that Diana was into drugs? Not really. She insinuated that Diana's grades were slipping because of her involvement with a bad crowd at school. We both knew something was wrong, nothing definite.
I don't remember what I said. Oh, bitch. Yeah, I accidentally hit the keys for bitch.
Ever came out. This was a difficult situation regarding a drug problem, a serious drug problem. Well, did you ask Karen if Diana was ever involved in drugs or alcohol to any extent? Do you know what I mean? No, I didn't go into her personal history. We hadn't seen each other in 10 years, and I wanted to keep a good relationship with her. We both knew there was something wrong with Diana, but we couldn't really communicate openly without embarrassment. And you weren't able to talk about it? Did it appear that Karen's husband, Brad Stewart, knew anything about the drugs at that time? He didn't say anything. Karen and Brad were having their problems too. All right. In talking to Karen, did she mention anything in the nature of alcohol or narcotics as far as Diana was concerned when Diana had the automobile accidents? There were many problems that arose out of the car accidents. Because of the frequency of them, no one would insure Diana. She lost her driver's license, and Karen and Brad refused to let her drive their car. Did you ask Karen and Brad to take Diana to a drug rehabilitation program in New York City? Well, I said, why not consider putting Diana in a drug rehabilitation program? Her problems are affecting the whole family. But Brad and Karen hadn't accepted the fact that she really had any problems. Did you talk to Diana personally, or just to Brad and Karen? No, it was their child, and I felt that since it was their child, it was their problem situation to cope with. How long have you known your half-sister, Karen? I have known her since she moved up here. I think she called me about a week after she moved to Albany, and that's when I met her. I hadn't seen her in 10 years, but we never really knew each other as kids anyway. Okay, and when you met her, I take it you also met Diana? That's correct. And how long have you known Diana? 2 years, since April of 2012. And have you had occasion to see Diana once in a while? Oh yes, we go over to Brad and Sharon's house a lot. We have dinner. We go on picnics. Diana and her brother, Ted, helped me move into my new apartment. How did Diana strike you the first time you next saw her? She was shy at first, but very cooperative. She was always friendly to me. She always spoke to me and seemed like she needed a friend. I guess she and her father fought a lot. You said Diana helped you move? Yes, she did. Was this over the objections of Diana's father, your brother-in-law? I don't really know. No further questions. Did you ever see Brad with his children? Yes, many times. What was his attitude toward his children? Oh, he was a good father. He was affectionate. He always was throwing his arms around her, teasing her. Have you seen Brad since he has been in jail? No, yes. On one occasion, I came to court and saw him here. Thank you, Mr. Tyrell. No further questions at this time. Mrs. Delaney, any other questions? No, Your Honor.
All right.
Okay, that concludes our Q&A practice for the...
Moving on to the test. But first, ad break. Be right back. All right, we're back.
Hello, this is a Q&A test for the 120 class. Plaintiff attorney is Mr. Cox, C-O-X. Defense attorney is Mr. West, W-E-S-T. Again, plaintiff attorney, Mr. Cox, C-O-X. Defense attorney, Mr. West, W-E-S-T. This is going to start out with the court. Ready? That will be fine. Mr. West, before you proceed, let's take a short break. We will be back on the record in 15 minutes. Let's go back to the paper for a few minutes. Do you remember if anything was printed on the top of the paper? I think it had Irvine Police Department on it. Okay. Now that I remember, it did. It looked official. Now, you were saying that Amanda tried to write something. Are you saying you saw her make marks on the paper? I saw her writing some words, yes. Was it on that official piece of paper that the officer gave her? Yes. Okay. About how many words did she write on the paper? Was it one word or one line? Or just how many would you say? I really can't remember. Well, was she writing on the paper? Yes, she was. Okay, was it a lot or a little? You know, was it a piece of paper with 1 or 2 words? Was it some paper with 3, 4, 5 lines on it? Was it one of those choices? There was not much writing on it, as I recall. Well, more than 1 line? I don't remember. I really don't remember right now. I'm sorry. Okay, perhaps you can remember how long she sat there and held that pencil and tried to write. Can you? Was it 1 minute, 5 minutes, or 10 minutes? Do you remember how much time it was? I don't remember. Well, was it a very short time? I don't remember. Could it have been half an hour? No, I don't believe so. Perhaps I can help you, counsel. Let's think for a few minutes about what was happening at that time. Okay, I'm thinking. Now, was it approximately 15 minutes that she was writing on the paper? Yes, I think that would be about right. All right, counsel, let's leave it at that. Okay, Your Honor, I have nothing further at this time. Mr. Cox, do you have any further questions? Yes, sir. Go ahead. Now, who was in the room while she was sitting there trying to write? What do you mean? Well, was it just you and Amanda? Oh, I see what you mean. Yes, it was just the 2 of us.
Yes, I am back. All right, I'll finish this up. Only got a minute left. A minute or so left.
In it, and the officer was sitting at the desk. It would be almost like he was there. At least, I guess that's what you would call it. Well, there was a partial partition between us. as you sat there with Amanda and she was trying to write, could you see over the partition and see the officer? In other words, did the partition block your view? No, it did not block my view. I could see the officer. How high was the partition? Almost as high as this witness stand. Was there anything on it? In other words, was there a ledge on it? I don't know what you mean. The officer was in front of you and not to the side of the partition. Is that right? The desk area is a very large area. How many officers could you see as you sat there with Amanda when she was trying to write? There was one officer there at that time. We have reached the time for our break for lunch. The jury is admonished that you should not discuss this case amongst yourselves. Everyone please be here promptly at 1 o'clock.
All right, that's it for that. Let me just move this to class 3. All right. Well, I'm just going to wait for the next person to go live. Okay, let's see if the next person is currently listening. We've been streaming for a while. I don't know what I was gonna send. I wonder too. Hello, Jaden. I'm about to end stream. Okay, there's the raid message. Yeah, Twitch is working. Oh, I'm not on TikTok. I decided not to stream on TikTok today and yesterday, but I will be tomorrow. So tomorrow I'll be streaming. Is it? Look at my schedule again. melodywisp.card.co. Tomorrow is Rido Remastered. And then Tuesday is Deltarune. Okay, the raid is about to start. So, bye everybody. That's wrong. That's supposed to be Rido.